Hi, hello, my name is Brianne Huntsman, and I'm a blogger and creativepreneur over at The Huntswoman. And you can find me on social media at _Huntswoman on all social media platforms. And I'm both a blogger and creativepreneur, and I also help companies partner with influencers. So these are my brand clients, and I go out into the wild, wild west of influencer marketing, and I find influencers for them to partner with. And as I've done this, I've also started offering classes and coaching to influencers because I see a lot of the same issues pop up. And my goal is to really help influencers grow and just build empires. And so one of the things that I wanted to do with you today was have a top 10 list of the top issues that I see influencers making in this market. And a lot of these sound like no duh, but the thing is like often the no duh things are the things you haven't done. So I want you to reserve judgment and really go through this list with me and make sure that you've done all of these things. So the first mistake that I see influencers making is not reserving their username on all social media platforms. You're going to reserve platform names. So, let's say TikTok. If you haven't reserved your username on TikTok, you need to go and do that right now. Reddit, Tumblr, the things that we don't really think about as an influencer. We normally think about like Instagram, YouTube, and our blog, maybe Facebook, but you need to reserve those usernames. And the reason why is because as your following grows, if you haven't reserved those usernames, somebody will, and they'll probably put up content pretending to be you and making money off of your work. Or once you decide like, okay, I'm gonna get on TikTok, you can go to TikTok and you see like, oh, somebody already has my username, and they'll try to sell it to you. The next top mistake that I see beginning influencers make is not creating content for their own website. MySpace used to be around and now it's not really a thing anymore. So we don't want to put all of our readership on these platforms that we don't own that can change or shut down tomorrow, and we couldn't do anything about it. So it's critical that you have your own website, and I really recommend that you have some content going live there, even if you're just reposting content from other places and just using that as a gathering place for all the content you're creating. That's a fine first step, but we want your followers to know where the hell to go to find you if Instagram shuts down next week. Number 3 is failing to share your city. In all of your bios, I need you to put the city that you live in, and if you're not in the United States, I'll put the country that you're in. The reason why is because as an influencer marketer, I will literally go onto social media and I'll search New Mexico blogger, San Diego blogger, Berlin blogger to see who I can find. And you'll be more likely to show up in my searches if you have your city in your Instagram bio and your Twitter bio and the about section of your website, etc., etc. And you're also going to want to use hashtags for your city in your content. So, going back to San Diego, hashtag San Diego blogger, hashtag SoCal blogger. The next mistake is avoiding blogger networking. Now, I have experienced this, and people who have been blogging for a minute have experienced this, where blogging can sometimes feel a little bit like Mean Girls, but don't let that dissuade you from networking and connecting with new bloggers. Every week, I go on to Instagram and I spend like 20 minutes commenting on people who are using the blogger hashtags in whatever city I'm in and engaging with them, and then those have turned into really great friends. We've created content together. And most importantly, we've shared like information and tips with each other. So we've shared information on, what we charge to that client. So if I get a brand sponsor deal in January and then my friend gets it in May, she can ask me how much I charge to them to make sure that we're all charging the same amount of money. Okay, so the next reason is because a rising tide lifts all boats. You don't need to silo yourself. You don't need to avoid other bloggers. But you do need to remember that these are professional contacts first. It's really, when I first started blogging, I almost treated it like a fun slumber party where I was making new friends and meeting new people. And in retrospect, I got burned a number of times because I didn't treat them as professional contacts first and then let that grow over time into friendship. Related to this tip is that if you have a blogger friend, you do not need to share your sponsor contact information with them. So if you have a blogger friend, and you just did a sponsorship with, say, Target, a lot of bloggers are probably going to reach out to you and be like, hey, can you share their contact information? I'd love to pitch them. And you like feel weird about it, but you want to have an abundance mindset, and you're like, I don't know. So let me just put this to rest right now. It is extremely unprofessional to share that contact information without the permission of the brand company. And only do it if you are willing to vouch for the work of that person. If that person is like not very reliable, etc., don't recommend them. Don't do the intro. You can just say, hi, they've asked me not to share that information with other bloggers. Here's the asterisk caveat to that. If you're like a white blogger, absolutely, be like, hey, I think my friend who's a woman of color would be great for this. You can always try to like bring in and diversify, but don't just hand out brand contact information to people like you're Oprah giving away cars. Mistake number 5 is failing to answer your email. I cannot tell you the number of times where I've been representing like a startup razor company or like sunscreen or something like any influencer would be happy to talk about. Not political, like it's not cannabis, it's not anything like that. And I have reached out to influencers and I've gotten radio silence. And then like 2 months later, they reply to me and they're like, sorry, I didn't see this. And there's a couple reasons why this happens. And this is what I know from my one-on-one coaching with influencers, is a lot of it's self-sabotage. When people get those emails, they freak out about having to like negotiate rates and stuff. So they just like don't answer them. And then like the opportunity passes. So your job is to answer emails within 1 business day, maximum 2. Now we all have stuff happen. Earlier this year, my grandmother passed away and I had a couple of brand deals that I needed to submit content for. So I was in the car going to the airport and I wrote emails to those people and said, hey, family emergency, I'll be in touch next week, but I'm not gonna be able to make these deadlines. I'll keep you informed. And then I also set up an auto response on my email for future sponsors that would be reaching out to me. And this is like a professionalism thing. If an influencer can't be bothered to answer their email when I first reach out to them, I know that they're probably not going to stick to the timeline of the campaign and it's going to be a pain in the ass. So I just don't continue. The next mistake is a little bit similar to number 5. This is number 6, is people DMing to collab. I hate this. I guess all the time from people. They'll come into my brand clients' Instagram and be like, hey, I'd love to collab. And you know what's funny? Half the time, they don't even follow the brand. And they've never engaged with any of our social media posts. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just come in and ask for a check. Like, what are you doing? Like, I want to partner with people who are really excited about the products and the business that we're creating. I'm not just here to like fling money out to whoever wants to put up an Instagram post. So do not do that. If you're going to DM, you're going to DM and ask for the contact for the person who manages blogger and influencer partnerships. Then you're going to get out of those DMs. And extra tip, and this is something that I teach more in depth in my classes, is if you really want to land that brand sponsorship, you better be engaging with that brand on their social media pages for weeks before you reach out. There is software out there called social listening, and I can literally look up somebody's username on social media and see how much they've interacted with my brand client. So when I get people that are like, cold emailing like, oh, I just love this product, it's so great, da-da-da-da-da, and I go on and they're not following us, they've never commented on anything, etc., I'm like, bye, you're not a fit. The next mistake is staying in your niche too much, and I really see this with fashion and beauty bloggers, travel bloggers a little bit, but if you only stick to talking about fashion only, you really limit yourself in fashion brands sponsoring you, in the same with makeup or beauty. And a lot of those companies, while big sponsorships are out there, they're more competitive because there's more influencers, and those companies are more likely to just try to give you free product to talk about instead of like paying you to create content. So you need to diversify your feeds. Fashion can still be the thing that you love and that you talk about the most, but you need to pepper in posts about other things that you like and that you're passionate about. And generally I tell clients to think of things that people ask them about in their daily life that they can then blog about. So, if you get a lot of questions about car maintenance or car repair, you can put in posts about that. If you have a child with special needs, you can talk about that. Like, just so that these brands can find you. If you're redoing your bathroom, post about that. So that these brands can find you. And that needs to be on static content, not just your Instagram story, because it's going to be hard for brands to see that. So that's like YouTube videos, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, and blog posts. The next mistake that I see influencers make is complaining about the algorithm. We've all seen it. We're all in those Facebook groups where people will come on and be like, the algorithm hates me. Like, nobody's seeing my content. And I'm just like, oh my God, you guys. Social media is a social interaction. If you are treating social media like a bulletin board where you just post content and then frolic away expecting everybody to love you, you're going to have a tough time in this land, my friend. So you need to remember that social media is interaction and it is a dynamic between you and your readers, the people who are looking at your content. So like when I see influencers that only reply with emojis to comments or emojis to Instagram DMs, I just roll my eyes and I'm like, watch, in 2 weeks they'll be complaining about the algorithm. Like, if you're going to be in this business, you have to really care about interacting and engaging and conversing with people. And if you don't, this isn't the business for you. If you just want to reply with emojis. Okay? Don't show up with the idea that people owe you anything, because nobody owes you their attention. The next mistake number 9, is giving into overwhelm. And I see influencers do this a lot, and I've been guilty of it myself, where like Sunday night hits, you realize you haven't posted to Instagram since Wednesday and you don't really have any photo content. So you'll be reactive and throw a shoot together and then like post, and then it just feels like you're constantly trying to catch up to creating content. And you're not alone in this. So what you're going to want to do is batch content. And professional marketers do this. We batch content. So like today, I'm filming 4 YouTube videos. 2 Sundays a month, I'm doing photo shoots for all my content. One of my influencer friends, she does an 8-hour photo shoot every Saturday and shoots like 10 looks for all of her content for the month. I write all my blog posts on the same day, etc., etc. So when you're in the vibe of creating content, go with it and create it out and schedule it out, because then that gives you breathing room to be more proactive in trying new things and in really being present with your readership, instead of like calling your boyfriend, your sister's boyfriend, making your mom take photos of you, trying to find a photographer last minute. Like, just do batched content and it'll be such a more fulfilling creative process. The last one is going to seem a little self-serving, but this is mistake number 10, and that is influencers staying in freemium. A lot of influencers and content creators are brilliant artists and creators, but they don't necessarily have the business background that they need. And just like an Olympic athlete gets coaches and entrepreneurs get coaches, chances are, as an influencer, you don't know everything you need to know, and there's only so much freemium out there for you to access, like this YouTube video. And I often talk about freemium as like the free stuff you can find online on the internet, and it's a little bit like an iceberg. You can find like a little bit online, but then if you pay to play, it's like all this information becomes available to you. And I realize not everybody can afford one-on-one coaching. That's also why I offer group classes and ebooks. But you can also go to Barnes & Noble and get books and start reading about marketing and having a business and all of that good stuff. And it's going to be, I would much rather, instead of researching something for 10 hours, trying and failing for 10 hours, and losing 20 hours, I'd rather pay somebody for a consult on the phone to just tell me how to freaking do it so I can go do it. And again, I realize not everybody has that money, but you can find other resources, podcasts, books, etc. But you're going to get to a place where eventually you need to get coaching and pay for classes to level up. That's the truth. Okay, so this is the end of my roundup for y'all. I hope that you learned something. Be sure to share this with influencer friends or on social media if you're in any influencer marketing groups, because the better we all are at working with brand clients, the better the reputation of the industry becomes and the more successful that we can all be. If you want to check out my coaching or consulting, you can go to www.thehuntswomangroup.com. And if you want to creep on what I'm blogging about as a lifestyle blogger, you can just go to thehuntswoman.com.